So that actually leads me on to introducing our guest for this evening, a wonderful gentleman that I met at a launch for the electric cars just recently, Associate Professor Rafael Gomez, who works at QUT and is involved with BMW and development of BMW here in Queensland at QUT.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for having me, Gary. It was wonderful to meet you that time at the launch of the electric vehicles. And yeah, I'm very excited to be talking a little bit about what I do with BMW Group. So I run the BMW Group and QUT Design Academy here at QUT. It's something that I've been something that I wanted to do all of my life was work with BMW. And when I graduated from design many years ago now, I traveled to Munich and I realized that I could actually, instead of working over there at BMW, I could actually work in academia, still work with BMW and do a whole host of other things as well. And so I chased that dream. This is, as I said, a little bit of a dream of mine. I don't remember when I fell in love with BMW, but kind of from as long as I can remember, I've always loved the brand, I've always loved the cars. And now we work directly with them. We do R&D work and special projects and a whole heap of other things, which I'll talk a little bit about. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where QUT stands, pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to play within the QUT community and the community here. So I'm going to go through a little bit of an introduction on the academy itself, some background information to give you. If you've got questions beyond that as well, I'm happy to answer them. A little bit about the academy itself, the programs that we run, facilities and technologies, and the kind of future vision that we've got for the academy. So the reason why we've been able to do what we've done with BMW Munich, BMW Group Global, is I met, some of you may know, either you either like or hate Chris Bangle. But I met Chris Bangle in 2010. We started talking, and that was my kind of little in with BMW a long time ago. Things bubbled and things kept going a little bit, and I was a bit of a junior academic at the time. Didn't really have the kind of clout to start a collaboration properly. But others at QUT did, and it wasn't until about 2016 when we sent our first intern from design over to Munich, where things really kicked off. And really it was around the vision of the future. 2016 or 17, they celebrated their 100-year anniversary, and they started to develop basically, instead of working in the old kind of siloed divisions in a big organization, a corporate like BMW, they started to develop these smaller teams that were doing special projects across divisions. So that's where a lot of our designers went in and really started to make a really big difference for BMW and what I've seen as the success that has happened as a result. So the Vision 100 vehicle you might know of, it was really taking advantage of this opportunity where BMW was looking to the future and changing as a corporate company. So that the next 100 years vision, I can talk a little bit about that, but suffice to say, that's Dylan Shepherd, our first intern. I went and visited him at the time. He showed me around and I saw the opportunity here. It was incredible. Just what he was doing, for someone, he was, I think, 20 at that time. He's now 25 and leading design teams and doing amazing stuff over there. At his age, what he was doing was incredible, changing the face of manufacturing and doing all sorts of projects with Rolls-Royce, with robotics divisions within BMW, a whole heap of other things, using virtual reality, augmented reality, in ways that BMW was just going, this is amazing, this is great, let's leverage this. I started to now work a little bit more forcefully towards establishing something with them, rather than just an internship program, which was important. And now in 2020, we established the Academy, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story as well as kind of what happened in the meantime. So we work across the BMW Group. We've worked with BMW AG, which is the car part of BMW, Mini, we've done projects with them, Rolls-Royce, as I mentioned, and Idealworks. Some of you may know or have heard of Idealworks. It's the newest subsidiary. The BMW, it's a fully owned business, and they do robots for manufacturing and logistics in automotive space. I'm not going to go through all of this. These are some of the major milestones that we've had with the partnership. As I said, 2015 was our formal collaboration with BMW Group. 2016 was our first intern. I'll skip to 2020 when we established the Academy. Our interns were central to the launch of Idealworks, that new company that I mentioned, and also the BMW Group Nvidia Partnership. You may or may not have heard of that as well. I'll talk a little bit about that. That's one of the special projects we've been involved in. It's a massive partnership around the future of manufacturing. Digital twins, Industry 4.0, a whole heap of other things that we do with them. Our Academy has grown as well, and at the moment the investment from BMW is worth over 2 million. That's cash and in-kind contribution, so it's a significant partnership that they're investing in. That was the launch in 2020. So there's myself on the left, there's my head of school next to me, Lisa, then the dean of the faculty at the time, she's now left. The next one after that is Jimmy Nassif. He's at BMW, a colleague of mine. Then Dylan Shepherd, as I mentioned, he now works there. And Scott Shepherd, who's the Deputy Vice Chancellor of QUT Business Development. To tell you where the Academy is at now, there's myself, we've got 3 other design associates that work with me, a research associate, a technical associate, who's just joined this year. And in the middle of this year, we'll also have 2 more PhDs working in the Academy as well. And the rest of the Academy is really the team over in Germany. Jimmy and Dylan. He's still working with BMW, but he's kind of seconded to Idealworks as the Chief Technology Officer for 2 or 3 years. Dylan has officially left BMW and working for Idealworks full-time, ongoing, but that's the team that we work with quite closely. It's growing. There's lots of other team members that we have over at BMW, but they're the key ones. Just to give you the kind of the spiel, the technical kind of background on the Academy. So the Academy is a design hub for advanced learning, cutting-edge research and R&D projects, focused on the application of emerging tech, including virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, robotics, among others, big data, whole mixed reality, a whole heap of other things that we're exploring with them. And as I said, it's really around designers going to a corporate and doing things like taking that emerging technology and saying, what can we do with it to improve what BMW does across a whole heap of different things. There's 3 pillars that we work around at the Academy. We might extend that to a 4th pillar. I'll talk a little bit about that near the end. It's internships, research, and special projects, okay? And they all work off each other. They're not individual. We have internship program, research, masters and PhDs, and special projects, which are live projects with BMW. With the internships, it's around fostering design excellence. So it's what we do at a university, is educate future designers. That's what the internships are all about. So we have, in the last 3 semesters, so a year and a half, essentially, since the middle of 2020, we've had 12 interns going through the Academy, and we upskill them so that they're better prepared if they ever get a chance to go to BMW once borders open up. And we've already got 1 student over there now who's about to start a new internship, so that's really exciting to get that started again. So we teach them in the Academy here at QUT to upskill them on all sorts of things. The BMW Group Internships we also run. So these are paid placements working at BMW Group over in Munich. So students go and they work there from between 9 to 12 months. And they're employed as BMW employees for that period. So it's pretty rare for students, undergrads, to get to go and work at a company like this. This is to give you a sense of kind of the impact that these students have had. You may know the official-looking gentleman on the left there. That's Oliver Sipsky. He's the CEO of BMW. There's people who work at BMW all of their careers there in Munich at HQ who never get to meet Oliver. And here we have Dylan and Daniel Jacob, who were their undergrad interns presenting to Oliver and the head of production at the time. A massive project for BMW, and we were having interns embedded in that project, presenting, actually leading that work. There's Dylan and Jacob again in Goodwood, Rolls-Royce factory with about, $20 million worth of cars at the front or something like that. They were very impressed, very happy to be there. Projects with Google that they started off interns working with Google Glass and doing things like that to do checking for production management, quality management in the production process. Project that our students were involved in for the launch of the Mexican plant 3 or 4 years ago. There's our interns, Will, Dylan, and Daniel, again, in the factory doing some stuff with robots. There's one of our group of interns that were going. This was the 2018 intern group, and a couple of students from the 2019 internship group over in Munich as well. The research arm, this is around exploring new knowledge horizons, so identifying new opportunities of research for the team, including QUT and BMW. So we're trying to make obviously the best of both worlds. Just to give you a sense of the projects that we're working on, human-machine interface, so the ways that we might interact with vehicles in the future that are autonomous or that are driven or developed using artificial intelligence, and we interact with an AI system. What does that mean for things like four-wheel drives as well as supercars and other things? How does that change depending on the vehicle type? We're working on advanced interaction interfaces with Motorrad, BMW Motorrad. That's really exciting because Motorrad's a bit of a unique beast within BMW. It's a very small team, but they do amazing work. So it's really, really cool to be working with them. Human-robot interaction stuff within, as I mentioned, logistics and manufacturing. Design expertise, so understanding how is it that our designers are going there and making such big changes, and how is that happening? We want to learn more about that. And the other area is infotainment. So we're doing research with lots of different areas across BMW Group in infotainment kind of stuff. The last is special projects, as I mentioned. This is about advancing cutting-edge tech. And these are like commercially sensitive projects that BMW are working with us live. So stuff that's happening right now. And there's a couple that I can mention because they're out in the public sphere. One of them is IdealWorks, as I said. This is a robot that our students worked on for many, many years within BMW, and then BMW decided the best thing to do from a business perspective is to kind of develop a new business venture called IdealWorks that they will own and then they might sell later on. So this is a robot, IW Hub, IdealWorks Hub it's called. These are some of the renders of the advanced visualizations that our students were doing. That's the Nvidia brains behind the IdealWorks, the IW Hub. That's an i3 battery that's used, so they use a lot of the vehicle parts in the robots, the LiDAR from the 7 Series, the batteries from the i3, a whole heap of other things. The second project, as I mentioned, is the BMW Group Nvidia, which was launched at the Nvidia conference. So Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of Nvidia, and this was the head of production, the new head of production, Milan Nedeljkovic. And this is around basically digital twin of the factory. So I won't get into details, it gets very technical around the Omniverse platform that Nvidia have, where basically they can start to plan production of a massive factory. They can do training there, they can train the robots, they can train people, they can do production like foresight, so understand where can we put things in the production line and stuff, all virtually, before anything's ever put on the ground. And it's hyper-realistic, it's incredible what Nvidia are doing with BMW. If you Google digital twins, you'll understand, you can read up a little bit about kind of the work that it's doing. I wish I could show you a whole heap of other stuff that we're doing right now. This is to give you a sense of, these are people working in a factory line. None of this is real. This is all virtual. And robots go in there, they just plug the brains into the robots and they train them with people that are walking around as if they're real people, and they trip over and they do all this other stuff as if it's real. And the robots think it's real, and that's how they learn before they go out into the real world. Okay. Facilities and tech, I'll skip over some of this just to tell you that our footprint is growing at QUT. We had a little small office, which you'll see in a second. This is a little office that we've got at the moment. This is it. So we have all of the team members in here, but we're now growing to a space that's twice the size in Kelvin Grove campus. We're about to announce something really, really exciting that's going to go in this space here, which is called the Glass House. You can imagine what it might be. So BMW sent us a new research resource, which is really exciting. So you'll hear about that if you check out our website later on. And the last thing I'll say is we're looking for new opportunities with BMW Group. So now that borders are opening, I'm off to Germany this year, probably twice. We've got the BMW team coming over for the launch of the new resource that they've sent us on March. And we keep going, and we're working quite closely with Mini and Motorrad. They're our next two big kind of areas that we're seeing growth in, which is really exciting. So it's a growing partnership. And last thing I'll mention is to stay in contact with us. We've got an Instagram page, but just Google BMW Group QUT. Those three words, you'll see the Academy website that'll come up, and we've got all our links to Instagram and things like this special edition of our photo book, which we'll run every year. We'll run a photo book from all the work that we're doing. It's a very nice book. We can only print a few because they're really expensive, but you can download a digital copy, see all of the stuff that we're doing that's in a really nice kind of photo area. So thank you very much. Sorry, yeah?
Take questions?
Yes, of course, yeah, happy for...
Anyone got anything they would like to ask?
Yes.
Mate, is there any, your workmate students or whatever you call them, are they physically designing the car, or are they mainly into tech?
Mainly into tech at the moment. We have a couple of projects where we are in the midst of a larger project that's going on for about 4 years at BMW. They're trying to, if anyone knows around production, the production cycles used to go in 7-year cycles. The digital team are trying to get this down to 3 years. Production is not going to go that fast, but digital teams are doing, rather than 7-year cycles to follow their production, they're looking to do 3. So we're working with a team that will launch something soon around interior design and things like that. So that is design kind of work that I more traditionally understand and things like that, but a lot of the other work is around tech and implementing it for logistics, manufacturing, robotics and other areas like that. Yeah.
How did this whole thing start? What was the genesis of the idea? Who asked the first question to whom? And
it all started at a congress, a design congress that I was at in Singapore, and the only reason I went because my supervisor said, "Do you want to come?" And I was like, "I'm not too keen. I was busy doing a master's." And I looked it up, and Chris Bangle was going, and I'm like, I want to talk to Chris Bangle. I want to go there. And literally, that's where it started. I kid you not. That is literally it. I approached him at the Congress. We exchanged emails, and he got back to me. I was surprised and shocked, to be honest. I was like, yeah, I didn't expect that. As I said, the real grunt work didn't start until about 2015, 2016. I went to Germany out of my own pocket for about 4 years, and just because I wanted to go work in BMW, and then I realised actually there's probably a better way. I love Brisbane. I didn't want to leave, and I found a way to make it work after that. Lots of. I can talk about all the kind of nuances. I've written a book as an academic. That's what I do. I write. I've written a book chapter about like kind of the tactics and the strategies that I have developed to make these kinds of relationships. But really, it was about getting in front of people, talking to them, building that relationship. That's fundamentally that's what it was.
And how generally was the response from Germany for you to be in Australia doing what you do?
Shock generally in terms of like where we've come to and thinking about the universities that they have and things like that. And one of the things I've realised is the Germans are very proud of their engineering prowess and their background, and they don't like sourcing engineers from anywhere else other than Germany, but design is not as competitive. So that was an advantage to me. And I started to, basically, we went for many, many years from about 2010 to 2015, 2016, talking to someone up very high at BMW, thinking that's how we'll get in. It wasn't. They were way too high, and he would come every year and he'd say, yes, let's do this and whatever. Then we wouldn't hear from him for another year until he came, and the same thing over and over again. And it wasn't until I met Jimmy, who was in middle management, where things really started to take off. So Jimmy was at my level at BMW, and he's actually executing. He's actually doing stuff. And that's when it really kicked off. So we did need the upper management support, but also someone who could, you could email and he'd get back to you within a week to do something. So that was really important for us.
What's the future look like for you guys? Obviously you're expanding, you're getting more support. Does the future look bright for you?
It does. Surprisingly, the support has grown substantially over COVID, which I was expecting the complete opposite. There's various divisions. I didn't know this about corporates like BMW, but there's various divisions, and some divisions do poorly over this period. Other divisions have done really well. And I don't know how they keep a track of that, and because, BMW as a corporate publishes, financial, yearly records and stuff, but different divisions have different kinds of budgets, and the division we've been working with has been doing really well, and so we've got continued support from them. We haven't worked with anything where we've worked with the computer chipsets and stuff in the vehicle, if that's what you're talking about, like electrical, mechanical components.
I mean, you're designing a program to achieve something, like maybe a human-machine interaction, something like that, and you write the program for it, but you actually have to build the hardware. And do you source that hardware from regular places, or do you get special hardware?
No, that stuff gets done at BMW. We do a lot of the coding that might go into the hardware, and then the front end design. Yeah, so the hardware, what goes into the car to do the processing, is taken care of at BMW.
And are you worried about hacking?
Yes. Yeah. It's a serious concern. Yep. We work with the IT teams in engineering around, and we're actually doing a partnership. I was just in Adelaide for the first time last weekend, talking to Deakin University. They have a cybersecurity team that's really they're really big, and we're talking to them about that kind of stuff.
Now, the really important question: have you got any dealings with the design team that work on the grills?
I was waiting for that. No, we don't.
That's a cop-out.
Do you think he'd say yes if
Yeah,
you
you did say no.
We this year I'm hoping to have a meeting with Adrian van Hooijdonk, who's the head of design at BMW, and I will cheekily ask him about it. Thank you.
We'll wrap it up.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Rafael.
Thank you very much, and really appreciate you sharing. It's amazing to find out what happens here in Australia for BMW.